Let me tell you a story. When I was a young kid, I grew up in the sauna. Literally, as a baby, I was brought in and washed in a small bucket and tub on the floor or on the lower bench. So for me, it's been a part of my life since the beginning. And generations past have handed that on to me. I know stories of my grandfather growing up in the sauna on a farm in northern Minnesota. And he would tell me that as he would go, he would always, as a little boy, he'd always want to be in there on Saturday nights with the men as they were all cleaning, because that is where the stories were told. The sauna was where the stories were told. That is where tradition was passed on and culture was carried. And so I use that as an illustration to say, we are doing this not just as entrepreneurs, not just as business owners bringing forth this new service-based business that's going to support people in the 21st century, but rather we're carrying on a culture, specifically a sauna culture. And we are a part of a bigger wellness tradition of thermic bathing that many, many cultures throughout human history have already been working on and progressing and moving forward. Now, that is a weight. There is a responsibility on our shoulders to carry on that culture, to know it, to honor it, to steward it. And if we don't, we become classic American McDonaldization of things. We just make it thin and veiled and not the reality, not the experience. We just make it a commodity. And what I know about consumers and people who want to be a part of these experiences is the story matters. The authenticity matters. The way that we become distinct from Lifetime Fitness and the YMCA and even some of these smaller spaces like wellness facilities that use infrared cabins. Note, I didn't use the word sauna because they've removed steam and thermal mass and rocks. That is the wellness fad. That is the quick, cheap, easy thing. It's like food. It's calories. Microwavable food is calories. Is it a steak dinner? Is it a culturally designed meal that has tradition, that has flavor, that's been passed on for years and centuries and generations? Grandma's home cooking brought to you? No, it's not that. So as we're thinking through this, I want you to consider the ways that you are not just a wellness entrepreneur, but you are a sauna culture maker. You are a steward of these traditions. And if we don't honor them well, we're just another American who is going to be taking on somebody's culture and oftentimes sort of using it for our own good. That's cultural imperialism. We don't need any more of that. Now, let's think and unpack a little bit of what that could look like. So here in the cohort, what we're going to be doing throughout the 6 months is training on both things. We're going to be training on business and practice. We're going to be training on how to do this really well. And we're also going to have videos like this that are geared a little more into the culture and resources to train and learn on that. Now, there's other resources you're going to want to know. So much of what we're doing here is a snippet into the reading list, the deep dive. To learn thousands of years of cultural tradition is going to be difficult, right? You're going to have to do a little bit of reading. You're going to have to do a little bit of learning and work. And so I want to give you sort of an overview. There is, very honestly, cultures from around the world who have been thinking about hot and cold and why that is good for us. That is the Nordic and Finnish sauna. That is the Russian Banya, the Turkish Hammam, the Native American sweatlodge, the Japanese mushi bureau or onsen, the Korean jjimjilbang. So if we look, just glance across culture, we find those examples. You're going to want to know and be aware because people are going to ask, hey, what is this? Is this a sauna? Is this a steam room? Is this infrared? Is this the banya? And you're going to have some vocabulary of what you know to be true about those things. And I'd like to say there's not one that sort of stands over the other, but you're going to want to know what tradition or what experience you're trying to provide. Now, let me give you some resources that will just be a good glance at all this. So our friends, Sauna from Finland, have developed a handbook, the Authentic Finnish Sauna Experience Quality Handbook. I mean, it is literally the handbook to walk through Finnish sauna. It's great. This would be a key resource. Sauna from Finland, a great trade organization literally out of Finland that we're a part of, we're a member of. So these guys do some good writing. In addition to that, with light steam. My man, Byron McWilliams, Byron sent this to me. He heard of what we were doing. He's like, hey, there's literally a note that came with it. And he said, hey, I want you to read this. I want you to have it as a gift. This is my experience being a journalist in Russia and traveling all of the banyas that he could find in Russia. It's brilliant work. It's a great memoir of that. Next one. Here is one of my favorites. This is The Opposite of Cold, written here about a story of the upper Midwest and how those immigrants brought over culture here to experience sauna in all these different ways. It's one of the best traditions written about that. So good. And lastly, this is it. This is my favorite. Here it is. This is Sweat by Mikkel Ahland. Mikkel is a Norwegian as well as has lived in America. And oh my goodness, you guys, this is the Bible of sweat traditions. It goes through all of them. It was written in the 70s. It's the one everybody goes back to, and it's out of print and it's hard to find. And so if you're looking on Amazon, it is expensive. So find this one. It is so good. If you're wanting to deep dive in all these traditions, Mikkel's book, it's to die for. So as we think about this, I just want you to consider, what is the history, the story, the authenticity that you're bringing? What are those experiences that you're going to want to do? That's going to impact the smells, the sounds, the pronunciations of the words, the types of things that you're creating for people, because it should be tied to history and culture. Should it not? We are sauna culture makers together, and I can't wait to see the ways we're going to extend that to new communities who haven't felt that before. And honestly, that is what the people want. They want to be invited into a story. And like my grandpa always said, sauna is where the stories are told. See you soon.